Hello everyone, Rob Pilger here with Louis Simmons. Louis, you hear a lot of Westside for football, Westside for baseball. Is there a Westside for fighters? I get asked a lot of questions. What do you do with fighters?
Basically, Westside training is exercise specificity. You have to train for your sport. Of course, this sport, boxing and all grappling sports, you have to have high endurance. So we do a lot of sled work, lower and upper body sled work. And primarily, there's 3 ways to correctly lift weights. A dynamic method, where you sub-maximal weights and maximal force, like hitting someone fast, that's how they knock them down. Maximal effort, where you lift heavy weights for a single rep, test your maximal strength. No one can lift a heavy weight slow, don't forget that. And then the repetition method to near failure. And that's like boxing, when you want to use repetition until failure starts to sit in, that meaning fatigue. So like when me and Rob and I box, if my arms get so tired I can't stand up, I better quit boxing, right? Or if I can't even hit him, at that point you might as well stop, and because your technique is gone. So I hope that answers the question basically.
Yeah, let's talk about knees. We're just talking before we started doing this about, like you're saying, you evaluate somebody before you work. There's no shake and bake method. That's the problem with the fucking internet is you get a lot of these questions, and that's not to insult anybody out there answering the questions, but you have to be realistic because there's not a shake and bake method of always say you're a fighter and this is what you got to do. You have to evaluate them and tell them what you're telling me as far as some guys may not even need much max strength, and it may be.
Well, I think Frank Mir's a good example. He realized that he was beat by one opponent, strength. Brock Lesnar was so much stronger than him. His technique skill was a 2 to his 10, but he got beat by Brock because he got overpowered. So he went down and started working with Philippi, the strength coach of UNLV. He gained strength, and then he walked right through his next opponent at Chicago. And the same thing, some people don't need it. Carl Gotch was a famous grappler years ago. And Carl didn't believe in any weights, but Carl, I believe, was extremely strong, so he stayed away from weights. But some people need it. And Carl Sanderson, for example, he was 159-0 as a wrestler in college, but his brother came to me because he was getting beat in international matches. We worked on good mornings, and this being a good morning, Churcher squats, lifting weights in the elbows like a takedown, and a lot of sled work. And I'm not saying that's why he won the Olympics, but it made him strong enough that he wasn't overpowered by the Europeans. We worked on his knees.
Yeah, worked on his knees. And that's what you have to do. If you're going to ask these questions, or if you're a fighter, you really have to look at what do you really need. Most sought after strength quality in fighting sports, all fighting sports, even rolling here, is explosive power. Power when you're on the ground to shoot in on somebody, and obviously with the hands and the legs, it kicks. And one of the prerequisites for explosive power, maximum strength and speed. And that's what if you're not strong, you obviously have to have that in your program, maximum strength. And and if you slow speed, and again, that's what we're saying here. It all starts with the evaluation. And what I was trying to say too earlier is, what about as far as the volume and intensity, which I think a lot of people have misconception of?
Okay. Well, number one, gentlemen like this, they have to be explosive in a fatigue state. When they get tired, they still have to be explosive. They're going to get their ass kicked at the end of a fight. So they still have to be explosive. And even a marathoner has to sprint to the finish line sometimes. And your question was about
as far as
intensity. We run in 3-week waves. Like Rob will come in and lift weights. He'll do a fairly same exercise for 3 weeks, adding weight each week. But at the end of 3 weeks, Rob can evaluate his success on how fast he is, and that's the key. And every week, when he maxes out, he can evaluate his success on how actually strong he is. So one day is designed the dynamic method, force equals mass times acceleration to develop explosive speed. The other day, maximum strength. But see, so each week we can evaluate Rob's strength every Monday or every Wednesday, and his speed every Friday or on the weekend if he does speed bench, upper bench.
And working with fighters, what I was mumbling about earlier, is there's nothing set in stone. Again, evaluating somebody, we don't know what you need until we evaluate you. And as far as sparring, for instance, when you bring Chris up to spar, I will not lift that week. I won't do any upper body if I'm going to get in there and work with him. I surely won't touch any max effort weights because sparring, that will drain you from the sparring. So everything changes as far as what your needs are, or excuse me, as far as program design, depending on the sparring. And if you're beat up in the weight room, this is common sense, but yet it isn't because a lot of people don't practice it. It determines on what you're going to do right for the next one.
It would be much better for Rob to teach a person skills and then make them stronger than to have a real strong guy and try to teach them skills. because basics, it doesn't work that way. In the Soviet Union, it's called general physical preparedness. They start children out at 12 years old in a variety of exercises. Then they determine if they're going to be a grappler, a volleyball player, a basketball player, or what.
So buyer beware, all that shit you see out there with somebody, there are some good guys out there, don't get me wrong, putting out products online, but some of this shit that you see with all the marketing about building explosive power, making you the best fighter possible, if you don't have a skill for that, fight discipline, you're screwed. You got to learn how to fight first. The icing on the cake. I don't obviously have to tell him anything. There's a strength. One last thing. Anything new you're doing as far as conditioning?
We do a lot of kettlebell work, a lot of band work for high repetitions. I'm a firm believer in sled work. I work with a lot of football players. I don't want a guy on a weight machine. I want him walking while he's getting stronger. And pulling a sled or upper body work, you accomplish both at the same time. I know. I want to say one thing too in behalf of Westside. Fedor says, if you want to watch me train, go to Russia. And if you want to learn Westside, you better come to Westside. Don't read a book or listen to some bullshit on the internet. Come to the real deal and find out what it's like.
And I appreciate you taking the time for this because I get asked a lot of questions online about Westside for this and Westside for that. You're hearing out of the horse's mouth, and I appreciate you taking the time.